guess Ryan, start off with an easy one. How has the start of this week kind of gone, and how different does it feel compared to the last few weeks?
Yeah, this week we really just want to dial in. We've got to win football games at the end of the day. And of course, this week Colin and I are, we're splitting reps. Luke is getting some reps, and we all are just competing like we have always been doing. And we just want to give our guys the best chance to win, and we know Coach is going to prepare us the right way. We feel like we've got a good plan this week. We're excited like we are going into every week. And we want to compete, and we want to win ball games at the end of the day.
Eric Boynton.
Ryan, what's the atmosphere kind of like? Following up on that question, the atmosphere kind of like, is there any awkwardness at all? I mean, you guys went through a starting battle already, and all of a sudden seems like we're back to square one, so to speak.
Yeah, we haven't missed a beat. We're still this tight knit group that we've always been. Colin said it best this morning when he was talking and giving his devotional for this morning. We're all in this together, and we all have the same mission. That's to win football games, and there is no awkwardness. We just want to give our guys the best chance to win. Whoever's out there, we trust Coach's decision, and whoever's number it may be. We just want to go out there and play for those 10 other guys in that offensive huddle.
Mike Yuba.
Ryan, you go through the highs of last season in terms of being named the freshman offensive player of the week against Alabama. Then you have, obviously the way the season ended last year. You named the backup quarterback this year. What has helped you in terms of just being able to kind of keep balance and just be ready for whenever your number is called? And what has kind of changed? I know we've kind of asked you that question before in the past, but what has kind of changed at this point of the season in comparison to maybe where you were at the start of the year?
Yeah, like I've said before, that's life. My life has been ups and downs, and I've probably had more downs than I've had ups. But you've got to trust. And I know these past couple weeks, I've leaned on my faith a lot. I talked to my middle school priest. His name is Father Charles. He's a really good guy, and I pray with him before every game on the bus ride over to the game. And we just talk about life. We talk about things that we don't expect, but we can't control those things. What we can control is our effort, our attitude, and what we do when we wake up each morning. And when I wake up each morning, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to give my best effort. I'm going to give my best attitude to the coaches. I'm going to put my best foot forward because we can be upset as we want Saturday night, going into Sunday, but it's not going to help us going into this next week. If we keep thinking about it, we're going to lose the next game, and then it's going to keep going on. But we've got to put it behind us. We've got to go in, and we've got to keep working our butts off, and that's all we can do. And that's the attitude that I've adopted for this season. And it's been really helpful for me, and Father Charles has been really helpful for me too.
Colin Taylor.
Yeah, right. I guess Coach Muschamp said on Sunday to us that he's just looking for someone to spark the offense. The offense needs some sort of spark, which is why he opened things up. If you do win the first team quarterback this week, how do you kind of feel you can help this offense kind of get back on track from that Texas A&M game?
Yeah, I think it's just I want to keep being myself, and I feel like I've been doing a good job of being myself and giving that spark even during practices. And I think the big thing comes off the field. That might be that spark. I know the linemen come to my room every Friday night. I bring my Xbox. We watch a couple of shows, and then we watch a couple of clips on tape. And that's the thing. When I went in there Saturday, they were all excited. And it was good to see smiles in that offense. And I think that's what we got to get back to having. Is having fun. Because it's the same equipment. It's the same cleats we strap up. It's the same helmet. We're just a little bit bigger. The other guys are a little bit bigger, almost the same age as us. The only difference is we're playing in front of people, and it might be a little faster, but we've grown up doing it. So I think we just got to go back to having fun. And I think, when I step in that offense, I'm just going to be me and have fun, smile, make the guys have fun, and realize, it's a game. And we got to have fun and just do our best job that we can.
Joe Gorcha.
Ryan, what did it mean to you and the other guys in the quarterback room to see a guy like Colin Hill, who's taken a lot of heat these last couple of weeks, say what he said in the devotional this morning, and how does that inspire the quarterback room moving forward?
Yeah, I've been there before. I've taken that heat, and it's inspiring to see a guy like that, who's been in this. I'm not knocking on his age, but has been in this, for a long time, who continues to come and put in the work. And it's really good to see that because, a young guy like me and Luke and like Connor, we see him and he's, gotten way more snaps in practice and in games, maybe. And we come and we keep putting the work like he's doing. And it's good to see because, people might not believe in it. People might criticize you. People might say, I don't know if it's working. But at the end of the day, you keep putting in the work, you keep coming each day, and you keep chopping wood, then it's gonna eventually that tree is gonna fall down, and your goal is gonna be accomplished. So it's very inspiring, and it helps us a lot too in that room.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Ryan, going back to how you've handled everything, does that make it easier for you to reach out to your teammates and help them through a time where really, let's just say the whole team is struggling? Because what you've been through is so much more important than football.
Yeah, I think I talked to Coach Bobo about this the other day. Of course, going from being a starter to being benched, losing my brother, and going through a lot of things that I've gone through in life, it helps me to keep it real. It helps me to not put on a front. And I've recognized I've put on a front in my past before, and it's been easy to go up to these guys and just be real with them. It's inspiring, and I think they feel more comfortable around me. And I've had those conversations with guys on the team, and they have been honest and they've showed their emotions. And I think that's really important because, of course, like you said, it's a lot more than football. And I think, when you look at football, you can see the X's and the O's. You can see the routes being run. You can see a ball being caught or dropped, or a ball being overthrown, or a defense gap not being filled. But if stuff is not going right off the field, then stuff is not going to go right on the field. And I think, and to answer your question, it's been great to have those conversations. And I feel like after I've had those conversations with those guys, their ball has improved tremendously. And I feel like when I faced myself in the mirror and I've been honest with myself, my ball has improved tremendously. So thank you for asking that question. I liked it.
Eric Boynton.
Yeah, Ryan, you obviously heard the boos of the stadium from your fans on Saturday. And if you're on social media, I'm sure you've seen a lot of the criticism of Coach Muschamp. Does that help? Do you guys kind of rally around your coach? Does that provide any extra kind of us against the world mentality for you guys this week, knowing that there's a lot of criticism out there?
Yeah, I think what we do in this building is we worry about us. And I think we worry about doing our job. The fans' job is to show up and to scream and to support us and do all of those things. And they're doing their job, and when we aren't doing their job, they get frustrated, which I understand. But when we come into this building, we just rally around Coach. We rally around what he's saying to us. And we come in, like I've said, and keep putting in the work. We trust Coach. We believe in him. He's an amazing person. He's an amazing coach. And we rally around him. He's our leader when it comes to at the end of the day. And we trust Coach. And I understand the fans' frustration. And we're going to do some better things on offense. We're going to do some better things on defense. And we're going to keep improving. We're going to start winning some ball games.
Pete.
Ryan, you were in there last year when the offense was not performing well, especially in the second half. Are there some similarities this year, or are you guys closer to kind of fixing and getting it turned back the way you want it this year?
There's a lot of things last year. There's just nitpicky things, tiny things. If 9 people are working and 2 others aren't, the play's not going to work out. If 10 people are working, 2 other or 1 isn't, it's not going to work out. And this year, we've got a lot of things that are just right. If a down block, you're supposed to step with the inside foot. Receiver's supposed to do this. Look in the ball. A quarterback is supposed to look off this way. It's just those tiny little things, and we're right there. And Coach says it all the time. If we make this play or we do this or we do that, it could change a ball game. And he's absolutely right. And I think our guys are really close. And the good thing to see is that we're not giving up. We're settling in. We're doing our best job that we can do every day. And there's guys that aren't throwing in the towel. We don't want to throw in the towel because that's not what we do. That's not what the Gamecock football program is about. And I think this offense, looking at it today, we came in, we put in the work. As disappointed as we were on Saturday, we came in with a new mentality that we're going to go put up as many points as we can and as many yards as we can this coming Saturday.
Dick Cox.
I know the first half of this season has really been tough of you. What have you learned from watching everything you think is really going to help you when you get your chance to get back on the field?
Yeah, I think watching everything, and I think the big difference from last year and this year is practice. I've been practicing my butt off, I've been working, really as hard as I can. And, we're working as a backup quarterback. I go against the ones. I go against, future first round picks, J.C. Horn and Izzy. I go against Ernest Smith, the linebacker that's just doing everything that he can. I go against JJ. I go against Kier. I go against all these guys. And I think just watching and practicing, like when I was in the game on Saturday, everything just seemed slow. It seemed like way easier than practice was, and that was really exciting to see. When I get my opportunity, I've worked so hard, and winning is in preparation, and winning is in watching tape. Winning is in doing every single rep 110% like it's a game rep, because when you get to the game, it's going to be way easier. And I think I got a little taste of that on Saturday, and I can't wait to see if I get a taste of it on this Saturday.
All right, you got time for 2 more questions, Ben?
Ryan, just what was the conversation like on Sunday? How did they sort of call you in, and what was kind of the mood right after that happened? Did you call your parents? What was that sort of experience like?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I've been here before. It just comes down to doing my job, and I'm not going to change a lot of things. I'm gonna keep doing what got me in this position to keep doing. I'm going to keep working hard, and I'm going to trust what Coach Bobo is telling me. And I know that when we came in on Sunday, Coach expressed exactly what was going to happen. And I just kept my ear to the grindstone, and I told my parents, I want you to keep me right. Told my brother, who I live with in Columbia, he was excited, of course, that I get an opportunity again. But he was just right away, he's just like, well, let's get to work. And so it's good to see, people that support me still, of course, my family members, and people in this building that support me. But at the end of the day, like I've said a bunch of times already, we just want to win ball games. And if that's me, if that's Colin, if that's all 3 of us, me, Luke, and Colin, I trust Coach, and I'm just excited this Saturday to go out and have that opportunity to win a ball game.
All right, last question to Cam.
Hey, Ryan, kind of going off the question a second ago about your growth as a quarterback, specifically this season, though, from day one of camp to now, how have you seen yourself grow and in terms of like grasping Coach Bobo's system and getting a better sense of what he wants out of this position for you guys?
Yeah, I feel like I've got this question a lot, and it's exciting to answer because it changes every time. And I think it always comes back though to Coach from demanding a little bit of perfection, or actually not a little bit, it is perfection. We've got to get the run checks right, because if we don't get the run checks right, it's not going to be a successful play. We want no negative yardage plays. And I think, looking at spring to now, I eliminate the negative yardage plays. I've been improving on that. I've been improving on my accuracy. I've been improving on my reads. Because you see guys like, I remember watching Joe Burrow last year. I remember watching Tom Brady, of course, this year, and all of the quarterbacks in the NFL. If their first progression, second progression isn't there, they know right where their check down is. And Coach Bobo is a big preacher on that, finding his check down. Because if those aren't there, you got to trust your eyes, you got to trust your feet and find that check down, because that check down could end up getting you 20 yards. And I saw that last year with Joe and his running back. And that's the thing that I've seen my game improve on. I've got a bigger mastery of the offense. I know and I'm confident in what plays work against certain coverages. And I'm confident in my progressions, where balls go in certain coverages. And I'm very confident in my footwork now. I felt like I've gotten that down from spring to now. Coach has been a big harper on that. He's told me, I had to do that in spring, and I felt like I've progressed a long way, and I could definitely get a little bit better, but I felt like I've come a long way for that. So I feel like it's all coming a little bit together, but we've got to keep working. We've got to keep getting better, because I know I've got a long way. I know Tom Brady keeps getting better every single day, so there's no excuse for me not to.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.